Welcome to episode 1 of our VisualRM Tutorial Series. In this episode, I'll be exploring the interface of VisualRM, which is a powerful visual scripting tool for creating Runescape bots using RuneMate. VisualRM was designed to make bot development easy and accessible for everyone, and it tries to do this while remaining efficient in botting. By using your own individual logic to make these bots, detection remains almost impossible. Now, let's break it down into its key components and dive right in. So, in the center, we have the canvas, which is where we'll be creating and arranging our bot's logic by dragging in these logic nodes to build a bot logic tree. The node will evaluate the state of the game on every loop to eventually end up in an action to perform. It provides a grid system which will help you align your script nodes precisely, and simple tasks can be built with only a few nodes, while larger bots might take some more. For example, in this bot which is presented here, we see the Hosidius fruit stall bot, which uses only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes. If you look into some more complex bots, we'll see a lot more can be used. But let's start with the basics. So after the canvas, on the top we have the toolbar. The toolbar, we have options to clear all. We also have the option to look into our online bot store specifically for VisualRM. It's currently a little bit outdated, but there are still some good examples with requirements and descriptions about the bots. If you want to provide your own bot to this online repository, you can contact me at any time. Then we have the options to save and load the bot, a dedicated play and pause button. For the free version of VisualRM, we have a free time remaining. There's also a link to the documentation, which is rather limited right now. And one of my favorites, which is the pop-up UI button. This allows you to pop up the VisualRM interface out of RuneMate for more use of your screen real estate. Let's continue on in the pop-up state. So now we have a bigger view of our interface. Before going into the nodes, let's look at the bottom. At the bottom, we have a secondary toolbar with additional functionalities. You can toggle the dynamic highlighting of nodes while the logic is being evaluated by using this toggle. I recommend to use it while creating bots, but it can be toggled off while having the bot actually run to avoid distractions. Then we have the Use Direct Input button, which is a beta feature utilizing the RuneMate's direct input. It's very useful when you see that the bot has difficulties in interacting with certain objects. This has to be enabled in the RuneMate preferences as well. We can open the trackers, which is a skill tracker and the item tracker, which can be useful for information. On the right side, we have the dev kit. The dev kit is a separate interface which was made by Party and allows you to fetch information about currently loaded entities. So if you need any specific information or properties from entities or interfaces, you can find it here. We will go into this toolkit when we go into following tutorials with examples. Let me just close this one. And lastly, we have the canvas settings, which allows you to customize the interface of the canvas. You can have it styled to your liking. We will remain with the classic outlines. All right, now for the interesting part. On the left side, we have this logic nodes bar, which contains scripting nodes categorized by their types. These nodes represent different actions and behaviors your bot can perform or can evaluate. You can simply drag and drop these nodes into the canvas to build your bot. Let's go over some of the categories briefly. In the first section, you can search all the available nodes. These are all the nodes that are available. For example, if you want to get a game object node, we have it available here. The second category is the bot state, such as start, pause, which can also be used for breaking, or stop. One logic node that is always necessary for every bot is the start node, at which your bot logic will start and will restart on every cycle. Let's bring it in. Currently, only old school RS is supported anymore, so let's select this one. You can also select your loop delay interval, which is the timing between every reiteration of your bot logic loop. In the third category, we have the checkpoints nodes. We won't delve into this right now, but it allows you to structure your logic in different segments. The next two properties are what builds the core of every bot. The condition nodes will evaluate the current state of the game on every iteration of our bot logic tree. The action nodes will induce action within the client and are put at the ends of the logic tree, in every branch. Let's bring an example. For example, if we bring in the game object condition, it will evaluate if a certain game object which has the assigned properties is available. If it is available, it will evaluate to the success output. If it is not, it will evaluate to the failure output. If we connect nodes, we can create this tree which I'm talking about. If we bring in an action, you can see that if a game object is available, we can interact with it. If it is not available, we can do another condition, or we can, for example, pause the bot. We will illustrate this logic, as it is a little bit different for every node, in following tutorials with examples. The idea of thinking about a logic tree with branches is at first a little bit difficult, but it will reduce the possibility of undesired actions, events, and outcomes. This flow of logic building is important and might take some time to get used to. To finish off our logic node segment, I will describe that we have also the miscellaneous nodes, which are some specific purpose nodes, which we won't go in right now. Modulator nodes, which allows the use of booleans and modify booleans, which is an advanced technique of organizing your bot. And then there is a converter node, but currently there are no supported converter nodes. The next important part of the interface is the inspector tab. In the inspector tab, you'll find the global settings and node information. It allows you to customize various aspects of your bot's behavior and provide detailed information about selected nodes. For example, if I select the interaction node, I could describe it as the interaction with my desired game object. This will get saved for every node you want to describe. You can adjust your mouse speed multiplier if you want faster mouse speeds. You can select a specific mouse path generator. I would recommend to use the MLP path generator. And for the very advanced users, you could use the Load Custom Web button to import a custom navigation web. Don't touch this if you don't know what this is. And lastly, we also have the Variables tab. This is a very important part of the interface. This is where you can assign and manage all the necessary data for your bot. You can create variables and assign values to them, which will be used during the execution of your bot's logic. Every logic node will have single or multiple entries for a specific variable type. The available values to choose from will populate from this grid. For example, for our game object condition node, you can see we have currently no options right here to fill in. When we add a game object variable, for example, we can assign the regular tree variable, which is the name which will be used in the interface. It has to be assigned, let me correct this, a value. The regular tree in Runescape is called tree with a capital T. So if we add it to our list, we will see that currently we can assign this value to the game object condition. So now it will check if the regular tree is available. If it is available, it will interact with it like this. If you don't assign an action, it will just click it. If you want to specify our action, for example, chop action, and I'll add chop. This is an action. We save it, and we can assign it right here. You probably noticed that there is a button called partial name matching. If we select this checkbox, it will evaluate if the value of the variable is at least partially matching with the name of the game object in this case. To illustrate this, for example, if we want to also be able to detect every other kind of tree, for example, the oak tree, willow tree, maple tree, etc., you can add another variable. We call it other trees. And for its value, we select space and then tree, non-capital. You can also leave out the space, but I leave it in for illustration. Again, this is a game object. We save it. We add the other trees, especially in the interaction. We also add the other trees. Don't forget to select partial name matching. And then this game object will detect if there are any trees which are either the name tree or contain the name capital tree, or if it contains the variable tree non-capital, which includes oak tree, willow tree, etc., etc. And then if it's available, it will interact with it. If it's not, it will pause the bot. There are multiple variable types, as you've seen. This is to make it a little bit easy to organize and to limit the amount of entries which are in these boxes. We have the action, which is the action of any interaction in the game. A number, which can be either an integer or a double, depends on in what logic node you want to use it. Then there's the Boolean, which always has a true or false value. Don't put anything else here. Coordinate values, which require an x, y, and z value separated by a comma. You could use the get function to get your player's current coordinates, or you can use the devkit to acquire coordinates of certain objects. As you've seen these pop-ups, you can, for example, put a coordinate value in the on coordinate or off coordinate if you want to exclude certain game objects. More on this in following tutorials. The checkpoint is a variable, doesn't have a value, but just is used as a name. We won't go into this right now. The game objects is, as we've seen, is the name of the object. The sprite item is the name of, for example, inventory items, bank items, and equipment items. The ability skill was used in RS3 and currently not used. Ground items is everything that drops on the ground. Player is the name of a player. The NPC is the name of an NPC. String is just a string, a character, word, a sentence. A varbit is a more advanced type of variable, which is represented by an integer, but we'll go into this in following tutorials. Inventory preset is something that is not used here, but can be used in the bank withdraw action. Let me just show this one. We call it the VisualRM preset. When you select this one, for example, for a bank withdraw action, you can create your own inventory presets. Inventory test. Let's load up the current inventory. This loads everything you have currently in your inventory. Then you can select what you want in this preset, save it, and then you can select. It is not used here. And lastly, you have the interface object. Is when you're trying to detect or interact with interfaces, VisualRM will cache what you're searching for into these objects. You just need to give it a variable name, so it's a container. Don't give it a value. Again, a more advanced type of variable, which will be used later during following tutorials. Now that's it for this episode. We've covered the main components of the VisualRM interface. So we have the canvas, the logic node bar, the top toolbar and the bottom toolbar, the inspector tab, and the variables tab. In the next episode, we'll explore how to create your first script using VisualRM.